to Nite, and we're going to start this off with Mr. Viswajit Dilip and his story about sailing the oceans.
Do you know what is the average life expectancy of a person in UAE? It's that time. What is the average life expectancy of a person in UAE? It's 700,000 hours. If you take out the time that you spend sleeping and working, it comes down to 300,000 hours. And the reason I'm saying that is because time is the only currency that we all have and we are born equal with. That is why when we go to people, we always use the word, will you spend time with me? Are you free tomorrow? So at the age of 17, I exchanged my time for money. I started working on ships as a sailor on merchant ships. And after 4 years of sacrificing that time, at the age of 21, I was able to afford a house. I was able to buy a car. I was able to go into a restaurant or a coffee shop with my parents and buy a meal without thinking twice. But that was not enough. I realized I wanted more out of my life. I wanted not possessions, I wanted purpose. So a friend of mine introduced me to the world of volunteering. So I started working with different organizations, working with kids, and I loved it. And one day, I was in a club with my sailor friends, and while everybody was getting drunk and having a good time, one of my friends told me, "Hey Vish, I heard of a guy who worked on a hospital ship." And that got my attention. I was like, how did this happen? What is a hospital ship? And I didn't care about anything else. I really wanted to go and find out what is this hospital ship all about. So I went home, I went on Google, and I looked about it. And there is a company called Mercy Ships. And Mercy Ships has a hospital. They converted a ferry, a Danish ferry, into a hospital ship. And it's inspired by the born-again Christian community in the US. And they are inspired by the way how Jesus went and cured people or healed people. Inspired by that. I'm not a believer, I don't follow that, but I just found this truly inspirational. And I told to myself, I want to be there. I want to be on that ship. But I was afraid that they would not select me because I'm not a Christian. But I still did it. I took the risk and I went on the ship. I applied to this company. And in their application form, it actually says, do you believe in Jesus as we do? And what is your opinion about it? And I had to tell them that I thought Jesus was cool, but unfortunately, I don't believe in it. Surprisingly, they selected me after 3 weeks. And I even asked them, why did you select me? And they said, well, not many engineers volunteer these days. So we would really like you to come and work with us. I was super happy, but at the same time, I had so much anxiety. Because I didn't know how to break this news to my parents and to my family, as in to my brother. Because the idea that you pay and go on a vacation to work somewhere is unheard of in India. So my brother made fun of me, my parents were so confused, but it didn't bother me because I knew what I was going for. And the whole experience was actually full of a lot of stories, but for the purpose of time, I want to highlight the best moments. So I flew from Bombay to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, where I got robbed. Then at Addis Ababa, I flew to Lome, where the ship was docked. And when I landed, the airport looked like it looked worse than a bus stop in Karama. And I was thinking to myself, what have I done? How will I survive this? Did I make a huge mistake? What will I do here? And while I was sitting there at the airport, I saw one Jeep coming, and this Jeep came, and it had the picture of Mercy Ships on it. And it stopped in front of me, and this guy got down, he came to me, and then he said, "Hey, are you Vish?" And he was American. I said, "Yeah, I'm Vish." He said, good, we've come to pick you up. Come on the car. So I sat in the car and he looked at me and he said, we are so lucky to have you with us. And I didn't understand why. So I asked him, why, what happened? He's looked at me and he said, Vish, there are too many women on the ship. We need more men. That was the first time I looked up and I said, thank you, Jesus. You know, I mean, 5 years sailing, I just missed looking at women. So finally the car went to the ship and then we climbed up this gangway. It's a beautiful hospital ship. Now, if anybody has ever been an engineer here, you will realize that an engineer does not get a chance to do an orientation. So while the other new joiners went directly for some orientation, I had to go to my room, unpack my bag. I had a Russian roommate who, I don't know, Russians all look pissed, but he was looking pissed that he saw me. I went into my boiler suit and then I went down to the engine room. And my second engineer, he tells me, Vish, we only need to start work right now because we were lacking one engineer. So can you start the job right now? So no problem, I'll start right now. And he gave me a job order to clean and maintain and inspect both the sewage tanks of the ship. Now if you don't know this, on a ship, all the water from your toilets to your wash basins to the sinks in the galley, they all go down to a sewage tank that goes to a sewage treatment plant and then gets discharged out. Now at this point I'm thinking, I paid for this. Okay, is there a mistake? I said, you know what? I said, let me just do it with full heart. Instead of cribbing about it, let's just do it with my full heart and let it give it my best shot. So I went in, got ready, cleaned, inspected, did a great job. After that, I finished my work and I went to the cafeteria. And the entire cafeteria was filled with volunteers from across the globe. Nurses, doctors, cleaners, everyone sitting together, majority of them volunteers. Majority of them cleaning stuff that was far worse than mine. And everybody was having a great time. So I thought to myself, if they can do it, so I can do it. So that inspired me at my first step. Then the things that I learned, so we had a machine on board called the purifier that used to purify heavy fuel oil. And that machine, it can be a bit heavy and challenging to work with. So because it spins at a very high speed. So I overhauled that machine and I got it ready. And normally, before you start it, you have to call a senior engineer to start it together. So I called the senior engineer. And before we were going to start it, he said, hold on, let me call a few more people. So he called a few more people. Everyone came, everyone assembled us around this machine. We all held hands and we prayed. That was beautiful. I think I would do that normally within my heart. I hope this machine runs. But the fact is, we did it together. That was brilliant. I thought it was amazing. So during that entire time when I was on that ship, the one thing I wanted to know is what would motivate me to keep doing what I was doing. So every morning at 6 o'clock, I would go to the hospital and I would sit with the patients, with the nurses, and kind of feel what they were going through. So that would inspire me to go down to the engine room and work with my team. So there were many amazing stories that I could tell you, but the one that really moved me was one day I went at 6:30 in the morning and there were 60 to 80 African women all dressed up in their best attire. You know, the African tribal colors, all glowing. They had their drums with them. They came and they were playing music for everyone, for the hospital staff, for the crew. So I was very confused. What is going on here? So I asked one of the nurses, Linda, who was a very good friend of mine. I said, Linda, what's going on here? So she explained that in West Africa, there is a big problem called obstetric fistula. Okay? It is a hole between your birth canal and your bladder or rectum that grows due to prolonged labor. That means when you give birth to too many kids, that grows and it creates a problem for women where they cannot control the way they urinate or the way they defecate. So they just walk and happen to urinate and defecate, and they were given a term called stinky women. So they were humiliated, defamed, they were locked up at homes, or isolated from communities. But Mercy Ships used to offer 1,000 surgeries a year to help these women get over that. So every year, or at specific occasions, these women would come on board the ship and they would come and they would play these drums and celebrate that occasion of freedom with the entire hospital staff. And the fact is, when I was standing there, you hear this story and the goosebumps that you get, okay, that feeling is what I came for. You know, I wanted to go for experiences and not earnings. You know, and that doesn't happen if you just donate money to an NGO or do you watch a YouTube video. It happens when you donate your time. So the takeaway that I had with this entire experience, which was one of the best of my life, is that even though I went on a vacation and I was surrounded by sweat and diesel, I was also surrounded by faith and purpose. And the beauty of faith is that it's not about religion. Faith is about the strength of your soul. It's not about what you can get, it's about what you can give. So the beautiful thing I heard that day was that don't go for possessions, because possessions fade, but your memories will never fade. So thank you.